Silicon Valley Bancorp and real estate. Yep, that's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Bill Tierney, and I'm with Michelle Leonard Real Estate here in Cohasset, Massachusetts. So let's get into it. Silicon Valley Bancorp, and why do you care? First let's just take a quick peek at who Silicon Valley Bancorp is. They are the Bancorp to all the tech startups out in Silicon Valley. They're actually the 15th largest financial institution, so it's interesting that they failed on Friday. And so, what happened there? Essentially, when banks take depositors' monies in, they lend it out. And sometimes, these days with the Fed jacking rates, you actually get a return on your deposit. I know for the zero interest days that we didn't, but that's back now. And so what does the bank do to borrow money? When they're not loaning it, they buy some treasury bills and keep some and pay some out. That's called profit in banking. But what happened was, as the environment has changed in Silicon Valley, where money is not flowing around as freely as it is. Some of the venture capital companies, VCs as people call them, are spending, they're going into their bank and spending some money on things like payroll or whatnot. And so they're taking money out of the banks. And they started to take it out at a clip a little bit faster than normal or different. And that caused Silicon Valley Bancorp to have to sell some of their treasury bills, which, those that were issued at 6 months ago are worth now less than those that pay 4%, right? Because if you buy one at 4, why are you going to buy one at 2, right? So you're going to discount the value of that paper. And that was causing them, to have to take some losses, which from a regulatory point of view, Silicon Valley let people know that caused a run on the bank, and by Friday, you couldn't get your money out of the bank. Like Roku, which is the streaming service everyone's familiar with, according to the New York Times this morning, they've got close to $500 million there, and they can't get it. Could cause a problem. I know my life changes if I can't access my $500 million that I don't have. So that causes a run on the bank, and people want access to their deposits. So, what does this mean for real estate? And why is this bank collapsing important? One of the biggest buyers of high-end real estate have been, these people coming from the tech world and the venture capital world. You can take a drive around Cohasset. There's plenty of people who play the VC game in town. So, maybe that causes a little bit of a change. I do think when there's a shakeup in the higher end of the economic system, that does create opportunity. Do I think we're going to see blood in the streets and a mad run on selling high end real estate? No, probably not. I don't think it's that bad. It's not 2008. But what if we get some spreading, right? When Bear Stearns, collapsed in 2008. Everyone's, it's an isolated situation. 2 weeks later, Lehman Brothers collapsed. Do we know what's going to happen there? I don't, but I do think it will help supply. Because what happens, when you get this little bit of worry and a little bit of spread, you get the wall of worry. And the wall of worry always creates change, opportunity, and activity. What we need is the activity. So I see three things happening. I do see the higher end of the market softening up a little bit as people, want to preserve funds, seeing an economic slowdown or something in that world. So the higher end slows down. That helps a little bit because it takes a little bit of pressure off demand. The second thing I think that that's really going to happen in real estate because of Silicon Valley Bancorp is you can see some sellers say, hey, you know what, this market's been strong, pricing's been really good. I'm going to take advantage of it, and I'm going to sell at a good price and figure out what I'm going to do a little bit further down the road because the market's moving in the direction of I can sell high now and maybe 6-12 months be in a different environment for a purchase. So you get some sellers taking advantage of that. And that I think leads to the third thing, which, could create great opportunity is, just this undoing of the logjam. For the longest time, we've had people who just don't want to do anything because they don't want to hop in, to sell their house with their 3% mortgage and buy a new one with a 6 or 6.5 or close to 7% mortgage these days. So I think this Silicon Valley thing is, will spook the capital markets a little bit, and that will cause a little bit of selling in the high end, which will help fix the supply and demand equation, and that's going to get us to where we need to be. So that's how Silicon Valley Bancorp ties into your life in real estate. And if you really want to talk about this further, I know a lot about building houses and a lot about selling houses, and I spent 10 years in financial services, so I know a little bit about that. Certainly love to talk to you about how it fits your situation and what I can do to help. If you like my videos, certainly would love a subscribe, a like, a follow, and I appreciate you watching them, and have a good week. Thanks.